Alright, so we're already halfway through the fights. More than. So, here's the one I was talking about.
Yay!
They're just hanging
Jesus
out.
fucking Christ.
Don't even worry about it. They're all good guys. They're just blue-collar workers. He's standing on, like, a Hitler podium in that scene. And then he flies into space. God Blast Hornet is super cool.
I love him.
He's got one of the more over-the-top generic cool titles, too, which, according to my handy-dandy notebook, it's Flying Shadow Ninja Blast Hornet.
Alright, sure.
Yeah, I know. As far as I'm aware, he was part of Zero's special unit, which was mostly espionage-based.
And insect-based.
Mostly, not entirely. But, yeah, Magna Centipede was also in his unit. The Zero special unit...
I thought, Kuwanger was also...
he might have been.
I'm pretty sure...
I'm almost positive he is.
Are those different Beybladers than the normal ones? Because
Yes.
it looks fucking huge.
Yeah, they are really big sort of dropship variations of Beybladers.
I want one.
Oh, they've got little skis!
Landing skids.
Landing skis. So be sure not to fall straight down into that hole. That is a kind of beginner's trap spot where it's like, oh, clearly safe.
Oh, that's not cool.
I mean, I think at this point in the game, you're kind of used to grinding the walls and everything. So we've got another mini-boss. So I don't remember the name of the little raid bit thing. It'll show up in the credits, but the actual boss itself was just called Shuriken.
It's a lot less impressive than Chop Register.
Yeah, Chop Register is a lot more interesting. It doesn't help that our frame rate is a little off in the video. You can do some cool stuff with his animations, like he'll start to bounce around the room and stuff like that and respond to charge shots, but if you hit him with Acid Burst, really none of that matters. So, it doesn't really come across in this video. But yeah, so are you seeing the kind of supply depot, manufacturing, shipping thing
I seem to
here?
remember there's another mini-boss here if you do it in a specific order?
So if you come here before Gravity Beetle stage, there's an entire boss fight that is unfortunately removed, and I don't think shows up in either of our videos.
No, it doesn't.
Note to self, we should do it next time on that.
We should.
So, alternate version, it'd be right here, basically. But yeah, so this is really cool. This is the beginning of the Ride Armor arc of our adventure. You have to have, again, Tornado Fang to get down here. And you've got the capture unit that had X in the beginning. So now that I'm in this, I now have that Ride Armor. Like, it is just, it belongs to me. This particular model is called the Chimera. And it's just straight up the one from the original one. You get the same kind of jump jet style stuff and then hard punches and everything. What is different now is that health bar is the Ride Armor's health bar. It is not X's. You cannot heal it, as far as I'm aware, but it does kind of monitor what's going on with it and when it's going to explode if it's absorbed too much damage. You can also use it to jump up there. I think I could do it with the vertical air dash, too. But
can you actually do anything with that Ride Armor in that area? Because it doesn't look like it.
You could probably take it into the mini-boss fight, actually. I've never really tried to do that, but I'd imagine it would help. But yeah, that's mostly just like, you got it, good job, and now you have that Ride Armor. Which means now anytime I go to those Ride Armor panels that I was talking about, I think the only one of which that we've actually seen so far is just the very tail end of it in Blizzard Buffalo's stage, because I kind of walked past it.
We saw part of it in, like, the last video, too.
That'd be possible. But now if I go to those panels, I can summon that Ride Armor, which means in every level, you have access to 4 different Ride Armors when you have all the items. You have to have Chimera first, which, you know, it's in the name. You know, it's the whole multi-thing. So basically, it's a modular system. And you collect the other 3 modules to turn it into either the frog, the hawk, or the kangaroo, which are all exceptionally cooler than the base model, which is kind of a pain, but then at the same time makes sense.
I'm surprised at how well his wings are showing up at our half frame rate.
Yeah, that's a good point. But yeah, so Blast Hornet has the most exploitable weakness weapon, in my opinion. He's, like, I don't do it because I'm making stupid mistakes, but he's really easy to no damage with this.
And it seems like a bunch of these guys, at least him and the last dude in particular, are, like, inconsequential when you have their weakness weapon.
Yeah. That said, though, he can get really tricky because those bees that he's firing on, the bomb bees, will swarm at you, and there's always 5 of them, which you can shoot down with the X-Buster or other weapons, but, obviously just wiping them out is way better. And also, his Desperation move is actually really similar to what we'll see Cyber Peacock do in X4. He'll basically be up top and then just, start shooting targeting reticles at you that will just fire homing these at you until you or he dies, which is really intimidating.
But he never uses the satellite cannon?
Well, that would kill him, too.
Ooh, power. It's just like you're showing it off in the intro. It's like, this has absolutely nothing at all to do with the boss himself.
Yeah, well, bear in mind that was made as Rule of Cool after the initial game design was made. And don't you worry, satellite cannons will show up in boss fights later on in the series, so it's not like you're getting gypped out of that idea.
Yay.
So, we got another interesting boss title coming up.
So, how's he gonna fuck everyone up now, since just...
Oh no, he's a joke boss.
Okay, so he's just another blue-collar guy? Gotcha.
No, it's not even. He's just
a
funny
Otto
guy. Yep, Otto shows up in the background there, watching this. Rescue Power Plant, Volt Catfish.
He looks like a giant battery.
He reminds me of a ramen bowl. Like those generic ramen bowls with the patterns drawn around and that you see in every show ever.
Bits of that animation, he looked very egg-shaped.
Oh yeah, he is extremely ball-shaped. Oh, so there you go. That's the minor version of the artillery. What the hell are the name of those things? Is that my handy-dandy?
So what's this?
So that is a Vial Teleporter. They will appear in just a couple stages, if I'm remembering correctly. I want to say just 4 of them.
3 or 4.
It might be 3. And they take you to Vial's own personal level, which this is the only time this ever happens. Vial doesn't usually get a stage. He's a boss in stages, but this is explicitly the only place you can fight Vial before the fortress stages.
Like, can you just go into this stage at any time?
I think only after they're introduced. Bit and Bite and then Mysterious Maverick. And it's cool, there's a lot of different mechanics in this one. So, that elevator thing that I bypassed, I believe it's after you beat Bolt Catfish that receives... after you beat Bolt Catfish's stage. Those elevators receive power, and you can just stand inside them and it'll go up, and you don't have to worry about the falling debris because of the canopy over it. Okay, I'd kind of rather just wall climb, especially based on the boss order. But yeah, so I think it's really cool that Vial gets his own, revenge stage. Especially considering all the dialogue that comes up here is honestly pretty rad. And he's also got a modified version of the Kangaroo Ride Armor that we'll be seeing a little bit later. If he's a refight in the Doppler Fortress stages, he actually has a completely unique ride armor called the Brown Bear, and it is it might be the Goliath. I think this one is technically the Goliath variant or something, and then there's Brown Bear. Either way, it's this huge boxy motherfucker, and it's just super hard to fight. It does way more damage, and it's really neat, which we won't be seeing. Because I am going to beat him with his weakness weapon here, and erase him from the rest of the game.
Because he won't show up again at all, ever.
Note to self, I think we need to do some next time.
Yes, we do.
So, more to look forward to in the alternate version, I guess.
You have to watch both.
It's like link cable trading. So, I think this is cool as a character growth perspective. X beat a ride armor on his own in this. That's not something he could do even at full power in X1.
Well,
I know.
He couldn't beat Vial in a ride armor in X1.
Yeah, but you know what I'm talking about. The custom thing is just okay, this is a big deal, and now it's just I don't give a shit. This is easy. Granted, there are walls to jump off of, but that's just level design. He is very weak to either Ray Splasher or a weapon I don't have yet, Spinning Blade. I think it's easier to fight him with Ray Splasher because you can hit him more than once with each shot if you're lucky, and it's got a better range to it, and it's just straight up easier to aim with it as opposed to Spinning Blade, which is just a wildly impractical weapon to use for any reason. I also really sucked at dealing with his boss patterns. This is really cool. I love this. I'm not even really sure how to talk over it, but I think it's cool that they simulate him dying here with the text slowing down. You can like almost picture the robotic voice like getting corrupted and slowing down. And it's just like, what's going on? Especially since it starts out normal speed with "don't think this is the end." It's like, shit, did I use the wrong weapon? And then he dies. It's like, that's rad. Like, that's super cool. I love that they did that. And naturally, the dialogue is all different if you beat them without their weakness weapon and they escape. It's like, I'll see you again, or, whatever the hell it is.
Right.
It actually shows off some neat character personalities, too, which, the X-Hunters had it, too. It's not like they've never done it before, but I like that it's a standing thing, and now it's a branching path.
And now there's a timer on the screen.
Yeah, so, a time bomb has been set. Escape immediately.
Evacuate.
Shut down. It's really easy to get out. Like, as long as you know what's coming up and you've got, like, charge shots ready, it's really not a problem. To the point...
Those drill guys.
Yeah, like, the drill guys, I think, are the biggest hang-up, probably for most people, but as long as you time your jumps and everything, it's really no big deal. The elevator kind of comes in handy here. It works the same way, even though the entire factory is exploding, and you should never use an elevator if the building's on fire.
Or explode.
Yeah, I actually got a little nervous at this point because I kept stumbling, but really... It's just like you got the air dash, you got the charge shot and everything, so this part's really not that bad.
No, don't worry, I left in the tape where you got game over. It's cool.
Obviously. But yeah, so that's like the whole little sub-level. The only annoying part about that is you have to do it before you beat the bosses. I think the capsule will disappear if it's a stage that you've already beaten. I'm not sure on that. So it takes you back to the start of the level again, which in this area isn't that big a deal. On the other stages, though, it's a little farther along, so it's like, oh my god, I have to go through all of this again! But once it's done, it's done. Like, even if I were to die here, Vile's gone. So it's not like you could really mess it up at this point.
Well, that's good.
Yeah, it's nice. And this is another stage in this game that I think is actually pretty solid design-wise, personally. It's not my favorite or anything, but it's fun. It's got some cool areas in it. Once you get to the central power plant section of it, I think it's really wild looking.
I like the salmon pink palette they got going on.
And then these enemies are just like an enormous pain in the ass. I think it's easiest to fight them with Acid Burst, because the burn will kind of like continue through their weird electric force field thing that goes on. Otherwise you just like need to constantly keep pounding them, and a lot of the time I'll just say fuck it and walk through them, because it's like I really don't care about the damage. I'd rather just keep going. Yeah, be careful there. Don't overcompensate or anything, and then dash through, because those are instant kill spikes, even though they don't look as big and pronounced as some of the other ones. I also hate this spot too.
No, it's fine. You're doing great.
I hate fighting those cactuses, and like I'm trying to just go past more than anything. It's like I could fight you, but fuck it.
You just reset the enemies real quick.
I'm so great. But yeah, there's a lot of elevators in this one, but then you get to kind of go back down again, and that's where it gets neat. We get to see the charge shot for Gravity Well come up here, though, which is a pretty good showcase of it. I think it's one of the only special weapon charge shots I actually show off in this playthrough at all. But it interacts with the stage really interestingly, and shows off some unique animations for X, which haven't really been done yet.
That's really cool.
Yeah, he fires it straight up. This against minor enemies is really fun because they'll all just get sucked up off the top of the stage. So it's basically an instant kill. Doesn't work on the boss. That's weak too, though. You can't use that against Blast Hornet.
Does it do anything to him?
Not even to the bombies. It sucks. I know, like, I've tried hitting him directly with it. I've tried using it at different times. It just doesn't do anything. Which, I mean, it makes sense. It's not direct damage. It's just removing the obstacles. But I love that charge shot. I love the idea of it. I wish you could use it a little bit more often. It's almost like the Giga Crush, in a way, in X2, where it's like, fundamentally this is really cool, but it doesn't really matter that much.
And what the hell is going on here?
Okay, so the body armor in X3 will give you a temporary force field whenever you take damage. That'll reduce incoming damage by half, and that's on top of the initial half damage thing, so technically you're getting like a fourth damage. And then during the 102, it's like an additional version of that. So like you get really beefy. This is a very tanky X. Yeah, this is the central power plant area that I was talking about. I think it's really, really cool looking. And then here we go. So this is the right armor system. You go in, select them, make goddamn sure you hit the right button, because I think you have to hit like B instead of A or some stupid shit, and it'll summon out the right armor. every stage...
gigantic solid block of light.
Yeah, that happens a lot in this one. Every main stage in X3 has one, and every time you have access to that stage, it's something that's actually usable. Like, it's not just like, you have a right armor, go punch stuff with it. It's actually used to, like, open an area, or, like, fight something a specific way, or do something unique that the right armor is actually necessary for, which, again, is mechanically just really super cool, and I wish they did that kind of thing again after this, because they really don't.
I kind of wish that when you grab that E-Tank, like, all the power would have gone off.
Yeah.
Like, they do something like that in Prime 3, and it's just...
It's,
really neat.
They do it with the X-ray visor in the first one, too, don't they?
Yes. I don't know why, but...
Right, because it's like, why was this facility powered by glasses? Anyway, different playthrough. But yeah, I don't know, I just think it's kind of run out of stuff to say at this point. This stage goes on a long time because of the Vile fight, so apologies for any extra rambling.
Vaguely reminds me of a stage from the game way later in the future.
I think I might know which one you're talking about.
Like this area specifically, not the entire stage.
I think I know what you're talking about. We'll go over it afterwards. So, you can see up on the roof that he's got a boss element that'll get interacted with, kind of like how Chill Penguin had the thing that he pulled down on and caused snow. I don't really think he's going to get a big opportunity to use it.
He tries.
He tries. He's also got a very similar pattern to the weakness that you use against Acid Seahorse.
Toxic Seahorse.
Toxic Seahorse. Acid Seahorse is the Japanese name. Toxic Seahorse. Where it's just like, he'll jump on him. He jumps a little bit lower, though, initially, and it's a pain, and I don't care about taking damage from him, and I have no body armor at this point, so it's just like, I'm just gonna throw drills at your face, I don't give a fuck. One thing that's cool that you actually, I think we'll see at some point in this fight, is if the drills hit something that's, you know, not damageable or invincible or something like that, they'll actually crumple inward and, like, fly off. But I guess you don't see it in this one. It'll happen if he's doing his super move, which is one of the more irritating super moves to deal with in this game. He'll basically call down electricity and absorb it, and then just, like, explode out.
You kind of saw him start to do it in this one, but you interrupted him or something.
Yeah. So, there's all that.
Take that, you giant fish battery.
I'm gonna fill your mouth full of drills.
That sounds unpleasant.
It would be very unpleasant, especially with a mouth that big. A lot of drills. This is a really neat weapon, and I love the name of it, Triad Thunder. It basically makes a little force field around you and then fires out. It does more damage than it looks like, and then its charge shot is super cool, which we'll see pretty soon, actually. I think maybe the next level.